So we finally got our drive shaft in that we had ordered and custom made. Now this unit come from Wiles Racing Drive Shafts in Paris, Tennessee. We sent them the measurements that we needed and what we were putting it in for our application, and they made this unit up for us. It has the correct adapter here for our Cadillac TR6060, which is the 6-bolt adapter. It has a slip unit here to where it can adjust for suspension travel, and again has our correct U-joints and stuff here for our rear end. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can get this installed in the car, and then we will be working on the exhaust system. So as you can see here, we got our drive shaft installed. Now we simply wrap this up in some green painter's tape just to protect it while we're working on our exhaust system. But it bolts up really good here to our rear end housing, and again bolts up great to our transmission. So Wiles Racing done a really good job there on our drive shaft. So now we've got to come in here, we got the drive shaft in, we can work on our exhaust. So one of the things that we did off camera, when we got this car, the actual motor and transmission rather, it had a really nice set of Cook's stainless steel headers on it. But the problem is they hung down really, really low. So off camera, we took those headers off, we modified them, we actually picked them up about 2 inches here. We took 2 inches out of the tubes, re-welded them. While we were at it, we cut off the little ball socket deal flange here at the end. We welded on a set of V-band clamps so we can finish out the exhaust from there. Now, the passenger side here, we modified a little bit more. We actually had to cut the collector completely off of it. We rotated it 90 degrees. So now our O2 sensor is in here at a 90-degree angle, and we'll have to do the same thing on the other side because it won't get in the way of our floor. This one on the driver's side, being as we didn't have to cut the header or the collector off, we'll simply come in here, we'll cut this off later, and then we'll weld another O2 bung here for the O2 sensor. So taking off 2 inches out of those headers there really made a difference. And as you can see there, now they're up, not quite above the frame rails, but they're up above the lowest point on the car, which is the oil pan here at the moment. So now we've got those modified, we've got our drive shaft in, we can come in here and start planning out our exhaust system. So let's talk about exhaust for a minute. For our exhaust system, we're going to do a full 3-inch stainless steel custom exhaust system. Now, unfortunately, with using the Roadster Shop chassis, there's no true bolt-on kit or an aftermarket kit that you can get and weld up to fit in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Ice Engine Works mock-up system here. This is a pretty unique system. It offers several different angled blocks that pretty much snap together. So you can snap these together, you can rotate them to get whatever angles and degrees that you need. So we've got a couple of systems here, or a couple of pipes just mocked up, and you can see here that if we needed to, we can adjust this however we needed to get it to fit into our application. So it comes with these little rubber plugs that we'll use to put into our headers. These will plug in, and then this system here will snap into that, and then we can route our exhausts in mock-up version before we go into actual cutting our stainless steel, and then we know exactly what our dimensions are as far as our cuts, what angle bends we need, where we need to cut them, and everything there. So if you're not familiar with the Ice Engine mock-up system, this is the same kind of system they use to build any kind of intricate headers, tubing, down pipes, any kind of thing. This happens to be just a 3-inch setup that we're going to use here for our exhaust system. So let's go over here underneath the car and I'll show you how this works. So as you can see here, we do have some of our Ice Engine Works mock-up system here into place for our exhaust. Now we did plug this into our header collectors here, and then we've run in, and with this system here is what's great is these are either 5-inch sections, 1-inch sections, and then you have all of your different angle pieces, so you know exactly how what length you need of straight pipe and exactly where your bends are going to be here, and where your cuts are going to have to be to get the bends that you need. Now this section here, we run just a straight section for now. We do have to put a flex pipe, and then our catalytic converters will be in this section here before we start making all of our bends. But as you can see here, with this setup here allows you to get everything mocked into place, and you can check all of your clearances before you go in and start cutting any of the expensive stainless exhaust pipe. So the plan is for the exhaust is to where it'll run directly below the drive shaft here in this section here and come back. Now it's going to get a little bit tight back here at the back. This is a 4-inch diameter drive shaft, which is a little bit bigger than what I was expecting. So hopefully we have enough room here. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put our little plate that goes in here that bolts these together and see if we have enough room to come back here before they split off, and actually we'll mount our mufflers and stuff here in this area here on both sides before we turn and go up over the axle and then back out to the quarters here. Then we can put our splitter tips that hang down your factory Trans Am splitter tips here. Well, we don't really know. Pipes Exhaust Systems actually makes a 3-inch splitter tip. Depending on how it turns out, I'm going to try to actually fabricate my own out of the stainless steel tubing that we have here on hand. If they don't turn out, then we can always do the pipes setup. But as you can see there, it'll get a little bit tricky here in this area, but that's why we've got this nice little setup here. And as you can see, we used our screw jacks here temporarily to kind of hold everything into place. So this is what we've got so far. Like I said, we're still waiting on our flex tubing, and catalytic converters. We'll start here at the front, get those in, and then work our way back to the back here until we get the mufflers. So today we've got a new shipment of parts in from our friends over at Summit Racing. So what we have here on the table is our mufflers that we're going to be using on our 76/77 Trans Am. Now these are the Varex muffler by X-Force, and so let me get this out here and I'll kind of show you what we're working with. Now this is a 3-inch in and a 3-inch single in, single out muffler, full nice stainless steel case. And one of the interesting things with this muffler is you'll see it has this cord here and this little shield. So behind this shield is a little electric motor that operates a valve inside the muffler. So that almost acts like an external cutout that you might add into an exhaust system, but it's built into the muffler. So when the muffler, the valve is closed, the exhaust gases come through and it operates much like a traditional muffler, and it comes out. So when the valve is open, it gives it a little bit more of a free-flowing or a flow-through type design, and it's also going to change the exhaust note. So it comes with all the wiring harnesses and the kit and everything that you need for the muffler to hook that up to where your valve is either fully open or fully closed. And although that's cool, we opted to go with another unit that they have. Now this is called the Smart Box. Now, this is also offered by Varex, and this is to control their mufflers. It's an external box here. There's some cables and stuff here to hook up. And what this is this basically gives you Bluetooth connectivity to your mufflers. Now, if that ain't cool, I don't know what is. So what this will allow you to do using this Smart Box system, you can hook to it with your Bluetooth on your phone through an app, and you can actually control how far open the valve is. So if you only want the valve to be open at 20% or 40%, 60%, whatever that is, so you can really dial in the exhaust note that you want, you can dial in for performance. So it kind of gives you that the adjustability of, like, let's say a sport mode or a track mode on some of your newer model muscle cars that they have. So that should give you the adjustability pretty much to infinitely adjust the exhaust note on the car behind me. So we've used this muffler on our 70 C10 that we're building, although we have not been able to fire that engine up just yet. So we're not 100% sure how that's going to sound, but that's kind of the whole joy behind this. Anytime you're doing exhaust, you really don't know what it's going to sound like until it's done. So we've got 2 of those mufflers to put in and install on the car. We'll get those installed a little bit later. But also, while we was ordering parts, we went ahead and got our custom emergency brake cables from controlcable.com, and I'll leave a link in the description of this video below. So what we did is we went on their website, printed out a form, and sent them the measurements that we needed for our custom emergency brake cable length. So this has the provisions here on the back to hook into the bare brake emergency brake lever, and then the custom link that we needed, and then this will hook into the bracket that we mounted on a previous video for the e-stop. Now, all this will connect together there, and then once the e-stops pull on that, it'll activate the emergency brake. So we've got this for both the driver side and passenger side. So we're going to go ahead and start with this. We're going to go ahead and get these cables installed on the car, and let's see how they work. Just a quick little overview here. We do have our cables installed. And as you can see here, everything worked out really great. It has the correct little fitting here that goes over our lever here for the bare emergency brakes. It mounts into our bracket there with a little small E-clip, which was provided with the cables. And then as far as our cable routing, we utilized the factory hole that was there in the subframe there, so it runs right over the top of the frame rail there into the factory subframe, and then underneath, get underneath here so you can see, come out of the frame rail there on the bottom side of the body, up above the Roadster Shop frame, and then into our bracket there that we mounted earlier. Same thing with the driver or passenger side. The only difference with it is now it does run below the frame rail, which on your factory emergency brake cables, they run down below your exhaust as well. So what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and tie those up with some cable clamps once we do our final assembly there to our bracket. But again, it's run over to our factory hole there on the passenger side, and then back over to the emergency brakes there as well. So I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the control cables, emergency brake cables. Now I know they offer several different options in as far as custom links, or if you need something for a factory application, I believe they have that as well. Many different options there. So if you need some emergency brake cables, or maybe even some other cables, not really sure what all they offer, but I'll leave a link to their website in the description of this video below. As far as our exhaust goes, we had talked about before, not really sure if we was going to have room for our pipe to come through here below the drive shaft. So I'm going to try to get this as close as I can. Hopefully you can see there, but we do have room on each side of our tubing between it and our drive shaft. Now it looks a little tight there, but I can promise you it's plenty of room there. And we are sitting on our plate here, and so we're up above the frame rail and still below the drive shaft. So we've got them turned just about 15 degrees there coming out, and that should give us enough room to mount our muffler here. We'll get it kind of located at a later date. Like I said, we're still waiting on some parts for the front, our catalytic converters, and little flex pipes that we need. But once we get the exhaust run to this section and we get all of our stainless steel piping in, then we'll start mounting our muffler. And then we'll work from this part to the rear of the car. So in front of me, we have the rest of our components for our exhaust system. So we're going to start out, we have the other half of our V-band clamp that we welded onto the collector of the header. We're going to start with that, and then coming directly off of that, we're going to install, this is a 6-inch stainless steel flex pipe. So this will give us, the motor vibrating, this will give us a little bit of flexibility there, so it's not a rigid system. And then directly behind that, on both sides, we'll be installing these high-flow catalytic converters. So I'll leave a link in the description below of where these parts come from. And so let's go ahead and get underneath the car. We're going to go ahead and clamp up this to the header, and we'll see exactly how much room we need for a pipe to go behind there. And then we'll get all that cut out and start welding up an exhaust. So as you can see here, we have a pretty good start on our exhaust system. Coming off of the headers there, we have our 6-inch flex pipes. Directly behind that on both sides, we have our high flow catalytic converters. And then again, this is all 3-inch stainless steel, but you can see using the ICE Engine Works mock-up system there really allows us to dial in exactly where we need that tubing to go. And really impressed with that that setup there. So you can see there we're got to get caught up on the driver's side there, so we're fixing to do that. But you can see here the passenger side, we do have coming all the way back We have one more angle to put in back here, and then we can mount up our muffler. We've already double checked that to make sure we have clearance for that. But it's rocking and rolling, coming on pretty good. And like I said, again, I'm pretty impressed with this this whole setup here. First time to use it, and I got a feeling we're going to be using this a good bit more on future builds. So laid out here on the table, I just kind of wanted to show you just again a quick little overview here of how all of this goes together and works. So this is the actual piece that we needed to make for the car on our exhaust system, just one single piece. So what we've done, again, these little blocks, these are 15-degree individual sections that just snap together. And what we've done, and is also they have little alignment tabs there, so if you needed to, you can turn those and make a little offset if you had to, or however you needed it to work out. But what we've done is once we have this piece here made, know that it fits into place, we're going to break that down into 3 individual pieces. So that's what was over here. You have our 4 pieces here, which ends up being 60 degrees. So we need 2 of those. These are the same, just turned opposite. So we take this over into our U-bend pipe, lay it out over here. We'll mark it on both sides, and then we'll do that again for our other piece over here. Now you could cut this with a chop saw, a bandsaw, a grinder, and a cutoff wheel if you're really good. But once you have everything cut out individual pieces, it's simply you put them back together with a welder this time, obviously, and then you have the piece there that we need to fit inside the car. Now, as you can see here, the welds look a little bit different, so I'm going to talk to you now a little bit about what we use to weld this up. So yes, we are MIG welding all of our stainless exhaust up on this car. So what we're using is we have our Hobart 140. Now this is just a 110 voltage welder. Now we did change out our wire to a stainless steel 030 wire. And we had to also change out our gas to a 98% argon gas. And once you do all those changes to the welder, this thing welds up pretty much just like you would any other mild steel. It welds just a little bit different, so I would recommend taking a couple of scrap pieces of exhaust tubing and just trying to play with those a little bit, get your settings adjusted just right. But once you have that all done and said and done, it actually welds up pretty nice. Now what we're going to do here, we're just going to go back in and do a little more, spend a little more time sanding and cleaning up our welds here. Then once we get everything done on our exhaust, we'll go back through and we'll polish out all the exhaust system on here, and it'll give you a really, really nice clean job without a lot of extra tools. So if you don't have a TIG welder, just know that you can weld stainless steel in your garage if you already have a MIG welder. So I'm going to kind of show you where we are with our exhaust system here. As you can see there, we've got a good bit done. The passenger side actually is pretty much complete as far as the fab work goes. We do have to build a couple of exhaust hangers. The driver side, we've got coming back here to where it goes underneath the drive shaft, and then we run out of tubing, so we've got to get some more tubing ordered. It's actually on the way. But as you can see here, you know, we spent a little bit of time cleaning this up. We've still got a little bit more work to do here, do some final polishing on this, but you can actually polish this pipe back up pretty good after you MIG welded it. And like I said, we've got a couple little things we'll go back in and address, for our final work, but everything cleans up pretty good for it to be all MIG welded together. You can see here we've got our muffler in place. Coming off of the muffler, we come straight up and then make a bunch of bends here and gets over the exhaust, over the rear axle there. And then we actually come up above the frame rail and then turn straight back. And then we have a custom built splitter tip back here. And as you can see, the tip comes back, and it's going to look really, really good once everything's all finished up. You can see how that tip hangs down just a little bit there. And that's all 3-inch exhaust, by the way, all the way through. So it should be a good free-flowing exhaust system. And again, you can see here, spend a little time, sanding and cleaning and polishing our pipe back up there. And just to show you that, a little bit of time and effort, you can make this look really, really good. Now you're going to have some differences here between the pipe where it's in a radius versus where it's an actual straight. Sometimes the that radius gets out of true, so it's not 100% round. So there's going to be some differences there. I don't think there's really any way to get away from that. But overall, like I said, a little bit of time, energy, and effort, we can make it all polish back up and look really, really well. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and finish all that up. We'll get our exhaust hangers made, get them welded on, and then while we're waiting on our tubing for the driver's side, and then we'll get all that finished up, and hopefully the next video we'll have it all completed, and we'll give you a complete overview of it. So we're going to wrap this one up here, guys. We appreciate it. A lot of work here to do, and it's taking me a little bit longer to get the content on this one. Just a lot of welding, a lot of fitting up, but at the end of the day, I think everything is turning out really well. So it's going to look really good once we get it all complete. So until next time, we appreciate it, man. Continue to send us some thumbs up, hit the like button, and subscribe to us if you hadn't subscribed, and we will catch you on the next one.